That's what Juliet. You really only need that if they're actually speaking. If they're not speaking, you don't need their name.
Yes, that's good. I'm sure you're gonna make sure. Yeah, let's start with you. Oh, this is Darlene. Yeah. Hi, Darlene. This is Ann Gamble. She has a live next door. Yeah. Everybody should meet our Darlene. Yeah. So I was gonna do that. Good. We're here today. Yes. I was right here. Black strawberries. Strawberries. Yeah, we heard from Joe. Okay. Came up today. Yes, do you want us to start? I want to start, but I want everybody's, want to know everybody. Well, one of us to do that, so we could start.
Looks like she's got it. You're good, Juliet?
Do you have that? We want to. Want me to just pass it?
Well, like I said, we don't need,
Darlene, could you pass that and get everyone to sign?
like I said, you don't need their names unless they're speaking.
I think Kelly's. If they're speaking.
Yeah, that's the only thing you need for the record is
Not speaking.
if they speak.
You need to sign in with your. Name and address. All right, Joe's. Yeah, sign up. Okay.
No, I think we got it.
All right.
I'm gonna call this meeting to order. It's 5:00.
All right. 3 squared. Okay, she's calling the meeting to order.
Okay, meeting is called to order. The roll call, Frank,
Yes.
Ann, here, me, Tina, Julia, and Kay, and I don't know where she is. Kay will be here soon, I'm sure.
No, okay, sorry.
Kay Murray, she's one of the commission members. Okay. I would like the approval of minutes, May 15th.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as read from the last meeting.
A second? There a second? Yeah, a second, yeah. Okay, I want to thank everyone for coming. This is this is our last meeting of this year, so it's very nice to be able to get some things said and organized before. I moved things around a little bit because I asked to have Joe be the speaker first before our audience of citizens. So that after he speaks, we can all ask questions. So that'll be good. Okay, Joe Pajorsky,
Yes.
Chairman for the Berlin Housing Authority.
So.
I don't know if you know, if you all know him.
I've talked to him on the phone and you helped me so much.
Joe, just remember, this is not an audio as town council, so speak up as best you can
Okay.
so we can get it.
If I'm in the photo.
It doesn't matter if you're in the photo, as long as we can hear you.
Is anybody online?
No.
No, okay, great.
Joe, would you like to chair?
I don't know what you'd like to speak about, but Chairman of the Housing Authority, we have a 5-member board.
of the businesses now that have received projects that we have, that I think one is a project that we're hoping to have. Say again? Okay. Let me,
Right in the middle.
relocate to the center.
Good.
How's that?
Much better.
Can you hear me now? So, basically, I'm the chairman of the housing authority. I come to the position, I've been on it now for 2004, so almost 20 years. You know, running up pretty cool. In my tenure, we invested about $4.2 million in properties. Grants, Department of Housing, created multiplied grants. We continue to access funds, right? Places other than the best we can, right? Environment and market condition that we have to deal with. That being said, we're working on this project that we will get blessing now to close on July 11th. You'll see. We were ready to close on June 15th, the town was not, so we were waiting on those actions at this point in time. Once that's approved by the town, we'll get a closing and we'll start the demolition of the site. And I'm hoping, again, I'm going to cooperate a little bit, but I'm hoping that we have demolition completed in September, or start site work, foundation work this fall. If it doesn't happen this fall, most likely we will not be able to start construction in March. From the housing authority side, everybody's lined up. We have contractors in place, both demolition and construction. Everybody knows, and they're kind of waiting for it to get hold. At this point, the ball is in the town's court. We got authority to close in May. First, we notified the town to be able to close in June. So it was, they will be totally demolished. Yeah, so they demolished. Yeah. Do you know how many units? About how many units are? 51 units. That's so.
But for seniors, for low.
Yes, it's age restricted. All the rumors are flying around like here, but this that project. It is an age restricted project. Units, 2 buildings, this fall. It is going to be even geothermal energy. There's a solar components to it. It's suffice it to say the housing authority will be generating all our power. But it will be included on site. So that will be included in the rents. The rents are going to be diversified income model. The state is proposing right now, similar to what we have here with the coastal type condos, so a little bit different. So we're going to take the components of every single group, let's say, in terms of the income stratus, up to 60% of the area income. As long as your income matches 30% of that 60%, then you'll be able to apply for housing. Right now, the way that's going to work is once the properties come online, you have the first people that live on the properties are current tenants. So if they qualify, they wish to transfer the properties here, they go up there. After that, it is the waiting list. So people who are currently in the waiting list for help will be able to apply. After that, we'll open up the application process for the rest of the committee. And that the way it gets filled, basically, once it's filled, we'll create another waiting list for that property. Yes.
The properties that you refer to that can transfer over, that would be Marjorie Moore. First of all, is Sage included in that or not?
No, that's not a housing authority.
It is not. Okay, so there's the one behind Northeast.
Just those 2 properties, Marjorie Moore. This one.
And you know, how many residents are in each of those properties at this current time? That's both of them together.
Again, just because they want to transfer doesn't mean they'll qualify. There's a whole process. They have to apply what they have. We get residents from Barstow Heights that transfer down to Marjorie Moore. And, basically, the process would be similar, they have to qualify, they have to approve those applications. And those projects,
And that'll be in town. Building.
Housing authority is not related to council. Housing authority is standalone quasi-governmental agency. Drafted by the state of Connecticut legislature. The only involvement the town has is selection. For the commissioners. There's no funds involved, there's no town. Interplay whatsoever. Housing authority, so,
Now, is this just for rural residents?
under federal fair
Why
housing
not?
laws.
Why not?
Well, because Congress and legislature and the fair housing do that housing in Connecticut is open to anyone. And it's the funds that we use to maintain properties that are generated by state tax dollars. Then anybody in the state of Connecticut
Okay.
gets dibs at those properties.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Now, is it gonna be DeMarco management, managing those properties?
Yes.
So may I ask, is the property manager they are currently at, do they have experience dealing with handicapped and aging residents?
Yes, so we, the last 20 years, utilized the market management. They manage apartments in the state of Connecticut. They can highly recommend by the company that apartment houses that fix other buildings. So when I first brought them on board, we would have some issues with the government. And we basically set a black out situation.
And how do they inspect the buildings that they have? I know there's been some complaints and things, and they stay unattended.
So. It's interesting. I get phone calls from people with complaints. When I go into the record, I find that sometimes those complaints and concerns are not based on reality.
So DeMarco just runs this place,
Correct. The day-to-day management.
but it's still under the town.
Sure. It's not under-
No.
It's not under the town. They run it, they own it? No.
Right. Let me repeat myself.
Berlin
The
owns
Berlin Housing Authority is not related to the town of Berlin. The Berlin Housing Authority is a standalone quasi-governmental agency. It has nothing to do with the town of Berlin, has no connection with the town of Berlin, other than one simple fact. The Town council appoints the commissioner that serve on the Berlin Housing. Other than that, the town has nothing to do with the property.
That too from Archer Moore as well as. Okay.
Now, is there a watchdog agency? Working with DeMarco?
So there are several watchdogs. Number one is Department of Housing, number two is HUD. We get audited on an annual basis by both agencies, just past the REAC inspection. We've had flying colors on our audits, so. I can show you the reports. I know you should agree.
Reports,
Yeah.
but we live
I understand.
and we.
Listen, if you're not living there, then you are welcome to.
You shouldn't have to,
But that's wrong. It's not a good attitude. Let's fix this.
Hold on. There's one example. Right, let me give you an example. I had a call the other day that was complaining about their plumbing not being fixed. Okay, records indicate and invoices indicate there was a plumber on site within 24 hours of the request being filed. Right?
It's the problem.
No, because the parts he needed were not readily available. They were fixed within 72 hours. Right? But again, it's one of these situations where just because there's an issue doesn't mean we can get it fixed. There's an issue down at Marjorie Moore when we had a heat pump. Again, the heating company was out there within 24 hours of the request. 2 weeks to get the part. Now I cannot get on a jet plane, fly over to China and get the part and bring it back over here so we can get this thing fixed in 48 hours, as much as I would like to. Right? There are some realities that you guys are gonna have to accept. Right? Such as if there's an after call out, it has to be an emergency nature. Right? If it's not an emergency nature, it's gonna wait till the next morning. End of story. Right? If you called your plumber today, you had a plumber, you called your plumber today at 5 o'clock at night, I doubt he'd turn up at 5:30 to fix your problem. You probably scheduled them during the week. Right, the same thing applies to the housing. Yes,
I put in 3 work orders and it took me 4 months to get a new thermostat. For the entire winter.
okay. I would research that, but to the best of my knowledge, that one too, fine.
I put it in 3 times.
Okay, I'll research that, yes.
Joe?
Yeah.
Here at Crucible,
Mhm.
we had one washer, now this goes back for 2 months to 3 months.
Yes.
One washer for 30 people
Okay,
living here.
so.
And then how
let me
long
Get to the
Why
wash.
did it take so long to fix?
We do not own the wash. We get paid by the company to put those wash machines there, okay, we get a cut. However, incident it is of all the loads of laundry that are dumped through those wash. machines. We've been working with the company to have them come out here and fix the issue. Right, I threatened them last week to get those machines moved and get another company.
They should be replaced because they're always breaking down,
I
always.
understand that. We have a 10-year contract with them, with the contract's expiring. And I have informed them that they wish to maintain. this
Okay,
contract.
now the other problem that bothers me is there's water seeping out of we're on a slab. And there's water coming out of the ground in our hall. You see brown black spots all over the place. And it's water. There's mold under those carpets.
Yeah.
They should have been replaced. The water, the floor should have been scraped and sealed.
Yeah, they're pretty bad.
Okay, who have you reported that?
Pardon?
Who have you reported?
I'm reporting it.
I'm right now.
Yeah,
I'm reporting it to you.
all right, so that being said. If I
You're
don't
gonna
know
fix
about it until now, I can't go over and fix
You're
it.
gonna
So
fix it, man.
I will look into it and I will.
Please.
Square away. Now, that being said, this property, Percival Heights, loses money. On an annual basis, right? The rents, the way the state structured this project. When they started, they had a subsidy, right? At some point, the subsidy went away because the state ran out of money. But they never allowed us to modify the rental formula that we have for this property. So this property loses money. At some point, we're gonna run out of money. And the state DOH is gonna recapitalize, so give us additional monies that we. Put it for another 10 years, right? So that's how this system works. We have just invested significant sums of money into this project. I will look into the rugs. The rugs were part of our community development block grant application. That we made. Replace the rugs, the roof, windows, doors, and things like that throughout this project, throughout this building. Seniors, so that is, part of the long-term plan within the next 12 months. But that's not, like I said, I was first I'm aware they would have more issues, so that's gonna change the nature of the problem. Address that.
Well, I know, I had my apartment when I've been here 25 years.
Mhm.
I'm here the longest.
Correct.
And when I moved here, it was 3 years after I moved here.
Yep.
I had to move every stitch of furniture, everything, and move it into the office.
Okay.
Because they had to clean the mold that was all over the walls. Now, I was outside when they were putting in the new shingles on the outside.
Mhm.
And those walls are just filled with mold.
Okay.
And I'm not happy about it because I'm still breathing and I'm still here at 92, but I'm not happy.
So 25 years here.
Right, and I'm not moving.
No. And again, that's your prerogative. You can say, you can say,
There's too much mold in the building, period.
Yeah, we will look at- I will do some, I will do some air testing with the.
It took the pictures off the wall and there's brown mold.
How often is the water test?
That's up to the fire district. Yeah.
No, I was just curious.
Okay,
So you are our go-to. Is that
I am the go-to.
your problem?
yes,
Okay, and you still maintain that blanket statement that if you don't like it, you need to move out.
I can only satisfy people to a certain degree, right?
Well, what
I have,
degree is that?
I will provide you a safe, I'll provide you a sanitary, and I'll provide you a modern type facility here to live in. I cannot, the stuff that comes across my desk is quite interesting, so.
I'm sure it is, but
Yes,
there are
so-
a lot of valid points in both properties.
Okay. in your eyes, there might be valid, in other people's eyes, they may not be. Like I said, we're audited by housing authority, we're audited, Department of Housing, we're audited by, we're in here on a regular basis. They
When
give
was the
us
last time?
March.
Are those audits online?
Joe,
Why aren't they available online to the public?
You have to talk to, well, the business exactly. I have to figure out.
One other question, I talk a lot,
Yes,
but who's in charge of spraying for the bed bugs?
that would be the one, some specific.
Because I don't have it, because I spent hundreds of dollars cleaning my own apartment. They came and they sprayed, I said, Ada, you're clean, but everybody else is getting them in here. And
Bed bugs is a problem, well,
I wanna get sprayed anyway, but who's in charge of getting this, getting us sprayed?
okay, if you wish, they're in the building once a. Various different types of. If you wish to get an additional spraying, I will work order and we'll be taken care of.
I have a question.
Yes.
I have been battling them here since last October.
Okay.
And I call all the time, I don't get return calls. And then when they say they're coming, Liz,
Okay.
or I call, sometimes she'll call back, sometimes she doesn't. I'm not saying she doesn't 100%.
So. let me-
But I
let me
have-
address some-
Okay, but they tell me they're coming one day and then they don't show up, and then they don't show up for 2 weeks after.
So, I'm not happy with the way certain things are.
No, I know, I just wish you lived.
Yeah, I mean, I've been going through, they're a lot better. I can tell you, I guess it's very embarrassing. They're a lot better, and it's something I know, no one control,
They're not,
but they don't come consistently. This company does not come consistently,
they're here once a month.
not for me.
Well, not for you, but they're around the building. So this is the deal. I'm not happy with the way certain things are happening down at the office.
Right, okay, I mean,
I'm not gonna go into the details, but. The commission's aware. And the commission understands. And we'll see how things develop in the next couple of weeks.
Joe,
I just wanna say one thing, you know, when you guys have like something that you want something looked at, maybe the best thing to do is fill out a work order. And stick it in the office.
done it.
We have,
That's just because I'm kind of new and I'm very Darlene,
Okay,
I just, whenever someone tells me something, like if I'm passing a hall or whatever, and someone, no matter what, I don't just verbally do it now, I write it down on a work order and give it to Ray. He's maintenance.
Right.
He needs to, if he has to go to a higher up, meaning Liz, she's property manager, then that's what he does, but we have to have like a little trail of that, so I really, and if you don't find a work order, write it down on a piece of paper. Don't you think that's a good idea?
well, that's a system that's.
That's
Somebody does that.
Hold on,
Because if you say, well, I called you 2 weeks ago, and the person that you're saying it to says, no, I remember you told me yesterday.
I worked on 3 quarters.
So you just,
okay,
Now we-
Joe, can I ask something?
hold on.
Okay,
So, in terms of the work order. You fill out a work order, it gets processed, right? Ray looks at it and he either bumps it up higher or he takes care of it. I get a report on a weekly basis, the work orders have been submitted and the work orders that have been completed and where they're status. Right, that's why I did not see a thermostat on the work orders. Okay, good, if I can get those, I would appreciate that.
That would be one of my suggestions for anyone who sends. Make your copies so that you have.
Yes.
Yeah.
I did that.
I agree.
Alright, so if you have copies, listen, guys, I'm not saying this stuff doesn't happen, stuff gets screwed up all the time, which is why. Stand by the companies. But that being said. If we have an issue where someone submitted a work order, and that's the process, and there's no record of it, I need to know about that. So if you guys have copies of your work orders. Then, and your situation's not getting taken care of, let me know. Alright, I hired DeMarco. They hired Liz.
You hired the mark.
Yes, he's front.
Joe,
Yes.
there
Go for it.
is,
Question.
there is a housing authority commission, correct?
Correct.
That has a board just as we are the commission on aging. Do they have regular meetings?
Every Wednesday of the month.
So
I
there,
know some of
so,
these
and that,
individuals have
that
been-
is the correct forum to air these questions, correct? That's,
Yes.
okay,
Yes.
so,
In addition to that, my phone is readily available. Because I
Right.
get phone calls all the time.
so I want everyone to know that there is, such as we are the commission on aging for any town issues with the seniors, anything we can do to help the seniors, Tina, Barbara, everyone on this commission, that's what we're here for. There's also a commission on the housing authority that meets a Wednesday of every month that you can go and talk to not just Joe, but everyone on that board of the housing authority. So your questions that you're asking are not just being heard by Joe, but by everyone else on that commission.
And when it's posted, where is it?
It's up at
It's-
the town clerk's office, it's posted.
It's on the town website. Which Wednesday do you want?
Yeah.
Second Wednesday of the month, what time?
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock. No, and Marjorie Moore, okay?
Listen, you guys are welcome to come and talk and address your concerns with us. Right, that being said, they have to be valid concerns. I mean, just because you don't like the answer to a question doesn't mean it's not a valid.
Right, but they have the right to ask the question.
Right, and that is the correct form for that.
Yes, tenants about all kinds of.
I'm-
So, yes.
I just have one thing.
Mhm.
When I phone in or whatever I do, and I get the response, well, oh, we can't come today to spray like that because he's a fireman. Well, is he the only one? Is there not anyone else in the company that can come and spray? This is what I get. Oh. Yes, he's a fireman, so he can't come sometimes.
It's contracted to come once a month. It's also contracted
Okay.
to come on call, right? If there's not a scheduled date that he shows up, and his date fluctuates, that's fine with me as long as. he's
Right,
there
but this
once a
one,
month.
last one was because he's on vacation.
But I don't understand, but well, yeah. people can-
Okay, that's fine,
Yeah.
but they have more people in the company, don't they?
It's
Father
it's a
and,
mom and pop shop, so,
okay.
again. I could get more of them come in here and do their side, but it won't, that would be
Great.
expensive. And your ones would go up.
Oh, I'm just trying to rectify this problem, so it doesn't keep,
What's the problem?
because I got it from my neighbor, when they were infested, then they came across the hall to my apartment, and I bought a brand new bag.
Bedbugs are a problem. in
Yeah.
the state of Connecticut.
Yes, I understand that,
Libraries and everything else.
you're right, because it's all over the
We
place.
have thrown out people's furniture, we have not all kinds of stuff. that is taken by bed bugs.
Yeah.
If you saw some of these apartments, they get vacated, and what the condition is inside these apartments.
I know, you're right, you're exactly correct. Yeah.
There's it's a two-way street, all right? The tenants have to bear some responsibility for cleanliness.
Oh.
From your apartments.
No doubt, mine's clean.
Unfortunately, not everybody.
Is there still a law on the sizes of dogs that are allowed? Debbie, I can't hear him.
I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry.
The question was, is there a law on the size of dog? Yes.
Yes.
However,
However,
that brings forth the new laws that are out there with respect to service animals and emotional support animals. Which.
oh, I know.
So therefore, the laws on the size of dogs and animals are kind of superseded by these other laws. So if someone comes to me and says, I need this ostrich in my unit, I need an emotional support animal. I'm pretty much forced to take that ostrich. and do that.
Okay, has
Right,
Liz,
exactly.
has Liz, had
Yes.
Debbie, please, has Liz come and asked you about, because we have a dog that lives here. And we have 3 dogs, they're all nice dogs, except for one dog urinates in the apartment all the time. And you know that, because I think Liz has mentioned it.
Correct. So without getting into tenant issues.
It is so
Right.
bad. It's so bad, when I walk down the hall, I can smell it from almost half of the hall.
All right, so this goes back to my prior comment about cleanliness. Yes, But that being said, I cannot get into the personal tenant
In person.
situation. Okay, that being said, we are aware of the dog, we referred that to animal control, animal control is working that route. The animal control doesn't address the issue. We have other methodologies to address that issue, but none of them are gonna come to.
Because some of the people that live here and that told me that they're gonna call the Board of Health, and I said, well, you shouldn't do that until you talk to the agencies.
So, we've talked about that. This is now in the animal control realm, and
Shouldn't you have rules when tenants moving in, if they have a big dog, that you tell them, they need
Okay.
to keep the apartment clean.
Doesn't matter what size it is.
Yeah, it has-
so this is the deal. I can have rules, I do have rules.
Yeah.
Right? But there are laws. which supersede the rules, okay, and I have to follow those laws, and for that I have an attorney on staff trying to keep us in compliance with the laws. If that tenant claims that animal is serviced, I am pretty much restricted in my actions to enforce the pet house.
Well, what if the animal for the place is stinking dirty? I mean, it's supposed to be a service animal?
Again.
The ADA is very- yeah. It falls under the ADA. There's not a lot he can do.
You can only ask certain questions of a person about their animal. You're required, I think it's like, there's like two
I-
questions and.
If the disability is not readily apparent, I have to ask for a doctor's note. If it's a readily apparent disability, and I claim it's a service animal. Again, we have certain tenants that are disabled for the definition of disability. Then at that point, that's a service animal. Now, again, that dog has been on our radar screen. Been working the system, trying to get it addressed, but, shy of eviction, which isn't gonna happen. We cannot enforce the laws against that individual. And when he gets eviction, as a property owner, being the chairman of the commission, I can evict someone. The process to evict someone will take a year. And based on the age group, eviction really isn't an option for the house. Okay, so if someone wishes to ignore my tenants, there's very little stuff I can do to resolve that problem. I will pursue eviction. Don't get me wrong, but eviction is really an uphill climb. So in this situation, as much as I'd like to get this individual evicted, because of all the other factors, it's not going to be a possible solution. So, we address certain things, we address, we get in there trying to keep up with it, so to speak, but it's, it's difficult if there's no cooperation on that part.
Now, this meeting though is basically about how we can improve rights for the seniors in the town of Rome, correct?
Yes,
And the other meeting would be more appropriate toward the complaints of the
specific
department.
issue, yes.
Oh,
Yes. Yes, I mean, and again, if there's an issue, call me. I'll meet you at your unit and you can walk me through the process, of what's going on. Okay, but I'm on the property once a month, if not more. Okay?
but not in the apartments.
Not in the apartments, because you guys have the apartment.
Right.
Well, I'd be
So,
more than happy to invite you to mine.
please do.
I will,
Okay,
I will.
yes,
Joe,
yes,
what is the age restriction that we will have? For the
55.
55 and up?
yes. And it's not, there's not gonna be a disabled component, so it's gonna be 55 and over.
Disabled
Okay.
can come in at a younger age.
No.
or disabled. No, I can't.
Not a disabled.
Oh, okay.
In this one.
Okay.
So, because we went with a different funding mechanism, not required to pay disabled. And went through the DOH process, you have to do a disabled. You're seeing the ramifications in these two complexes of the elderly and disabled. Right, you're required for law and for the funding mechanisms in place, and these buildings were constructed that we are more personal heights. Except disabled individuals, there's no age restriction on disability, so I can take an 18-year-old as long as they are disabled into these properties. And you've seen the tension that's created when you have 18-year-olds and 80-year-olds living in the same facility. Right, I'm not happy with it, but unfortunately, again, hands tied because of the way these properties were funded. Knights of Columbus project is disturbing. Oh.
I don't mean to say that a disabled person that cannot walk is not allowed to live here.
That's not what I'm saying. So,
Well, okay, is a person that,
Marjorie Moore and Principal Heights, okay, currently we are referring to elderly and disabled. Disabled doesn't necessarily refer to a physical condition, okay? The physical condition in Knights of Columbus is going to be addressed through ADA. All those units are going to be ADA compliant. So we're gonna have 2 elevators in each building, and a disabled individual who's physically disabled will be able to maintain residence in that building. But that's gonna be based on an age grade. So if it's 20 and physically disabled, he does not get.
okay,
If he's
Joe,
80 and physically disabled, he gets to live.
you keep saying, if you have any questions, call me. What is your number?
It's 860. 982. 1489. 89.
There's a vacant apartment, Joe. You're not married anymore. Move in. Next to me.
Yeah.
All right, keep an eye on it, please. Yes.
That's the date of our past when service laws used to be binding.
God, I get it.
So anything that can be done, so
Look at it.
Call your congressperson to change
Yeah.
the law.
The laws are very broad now.
Yeah, there's a difference between service animals and emotional support animals. There's a difference between the
Yeah.
Department of Housing and the other one, the Fair Housing. There's another agency that coordinates all this stuff, and they have 2 separate different ideas of what those, both those definitions are. So we have attorneys that kind of juggle the two in their discussion with us, and basically you got it. The transportation department was able to get them off planes, thank God, but for the most part, right, you know. Because that was a safety hazard, but that safety hazard has transferred down the chains. So when the housing was, there are 2 separate sets of animals, and one is trained and one is. So.
Does it have to be a dog? It could be a snake, let's say.
Be whatever.
Yeah.
Anything.
Whatever you want.
So Joe, the snake.
Yeah.
I bring up a second.
Yes.
Waiting list. We've been on the waiting list for years now. And supposedly I'm toward the top, but anyway, there was a lottery that. All of a sudden the lottery comes up and then anyone
You just
could
push.
be.
Yeah.
Put in the lottery. I mean, then all of a sudden.
So,
Yeah.
yes, so we have various regulations. So Marjorie Moore is under the auspices of HUD. Personal Heights is under the auspices of DOH. Some of their selection criteria mirror. Some do not, right? But essentially, the way it works is you submit an application, qualify for the property. You get placed into a lottery. Your number's drawn, that's what you are, that lottery. If you get passed over, I shouldn't say passed over, if you are given an opportunity to get passed over, if you are given the opportunity for an apartment and you decide not to take the apartment, right? You maintain your position, right? And the rest of the list, you know, adjusts according to whoever gets the apartment. Okay, but you should be in that position. I would check. How long have you been on the list?
Well, years at least. But it was for, I found out, it was only for Marjorie Moore.
Okay.
And so I just this year expanded it to first available or whatever.
Okay.
So,
Give me a favor, give me a call.
sure.
I
Okay.
just want to see what your situation.
Okay, thanks.
So. I run into another situation and. What's that? Are you with me?
No,
Oh,
I wanted to move here, my son's.
Her son is on it.
okay.
But when Mary was in charge over there, I wanted to move over here, and she called me and she said, I have a 1-bedroom.
I said, okay, I'm bringing my son with me. My son has autism. I couldn't move him because he was not 62 and I don't have papers to prove that he's autistic. So I lost the apartment. Now my name went to the end of the list. It didn't maintain where it was. I was pulled off and put at the end of the list. So I'm still waiting for an apartment.
Are you sure it's the wrong?
I'm on the list now. I'm
Alright.
too big.
I will check into that, you know, make sure.
I'm on the list here and I'm marked remote. I can on both ways.
I will, get to that,
Okay.
so they'll make sure that that's not the way it's supposed to work.
That's a lot of people's questions that come to us here
Okay.
at the center, it is about the list.
Yeah.
And they're on the list and they're told there's a certain number, and then they do their filling of apartments, and they're not chosen. It's a lot.
Well, the lottery is the determined placement of the list. It's not the.
Oh, they're telling them that the lottery is after they're on the list.
That's true.
No,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Whoever's down in housing.
Yeah, I've been told that.
Yeah, really.
Yes.
And you know, when someone
Yeah.
asked me off the street, like this morning, somebody did for an app. And she wanted to know if we're still taking apps, and I'm like, we don't know, because I know we had all that.
So we open them here, and then close. So,
Is there one open now?
best I know.
I didn't think so,
So-
but I told her, oh,
Percival Heights was the last one open,
Yes.
and they're told that they get on the list. And then when an apartment comes up, they do a lottery and they pick.
Okay.
that's what I.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah,
And I,
that's,
and I worked.
that's from
there.
down the office,
That's what they did for mine.
right?
So I went out.
And that's
Yeah,
why.
that's not the system. So what happens
Okay.
is, what happens
Thank you.
is, we open the list. And this is for everybody's knowledge, basically on both properties. When the list is open, applications are submitted, right? But once those people are qualified to live in those units, regardless whether it's first.
Eligibility.
Eligibility. And that's where all the documentation, everything goes.
Right.
Once everything's verified, you're added to a pool. That pool stays in place until we conduct the lottery. That lottery determines placement on the list, right? Normally, and it's been my experience, prior to this conversation, that the people on the list stay on the list in their positions. You know, people get filled up in top, they kind of bump up to the top. And then we fill the remainder of the list
On the pool.
on the pool. So, if that's not being conducted that way, that's a problem. So I will.
There's a problem.
Like,
Not
told
be-
her,
Yeah, because you have a lot of people like Jerry.
how could you do lottery? If it goes into a pool, then you do a lottery.
We all, so say we get like 15 people. Lottery.
Okay, these are the new people applying.
Yes.
See, and that's why there's a lot of people like Jerry that have been on the list.
Jerry's been on the list for years. Number one, I'm curious how.
Right.
This
That,
several times.
yeah,
You know,
because I know of others that have been on the list.
okay, I will look into that.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, because that needs to.
yeah,
Okay.
It will be told.
what's that?
Okay. I'm gonna put that to myself.
It'll be told different.
Yeah.
It will be told.
You should see.
Well, just so you know, because that's the frustration of a lot of the folks that have put in their app, submitted it. They find out they're qualified, they're on the list. They hear that 5 apartments have opened
Yeah,
and they're told they were third or whatever. But then they don't get an apartment
yeah.
because you're told that all those names go back into a lottery and that's how they pick the occupants for the open apartments.
All right, I will look into this.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
the first.
Yeah, no, yeah. Yeah, thank you, because that would make a lot of people happy.
That's true. Yeah.
Oh, it's not the close, it's like,
Yeah, I don't want to be on the list when I'm 30.
Now, you over again, when this new facility opens.
Yes,
At first,
yes,
okay, so how is that going to work?
okay,
So
so
it be publicized that we are now taking applications.
after, so internally. The way it works right now.
Yeah.
The way it's gonna work there. So right now, vacancy opens up in one of our existing properties.
And first,
either one of these properties, vacancy opens up and there's someone who requested a transfer. They get first biddings on that. Okay? Once that list of people requesting transfer is exhausted, meaning that they either not wish to have the property or they select the property. Our next step is gonna be to go to our current tenants and say, we have an opportunity here, we wish to go. If no one answers that call, the next step is to go to our waiting list and go from our waiting list. And answers that call, then we publicize it to the external community.
and this is gonna work with the property over there at Nice.
Nice plums. Right, and it works that way here, like,
So we will have proper notice when the
Yes.
apartments are completed.
yes,
We will get first dibs without the same first of all.
But you have to qualify.
you have a quad, yes.
Okay, and are the qualifications basically the same low income?
I don't know yet, but there's gonna be a mix of apartments. Okay?
Right.
So depending, so we are 3 years out from operating this facility. Like say 3 years, just the same thing. Construction gonna take a year and a half. Town council, like I said, it's not been expeditious, is getting this thing closed. So if I can start construction in the fall, a year and a half in the fall would be pretty seamless. Okay, if I have to wait till March, it's a year and a half to March, and we're into the 3 year. So that being said, and don't hold me to this. Because 3 years from now is a long time and regulations change on a regular basis. But as of today, the way the regulations are set, there's gonna be a mix of apartments. There's gonna be some that are under 30%, there are gonna be some that are up to 40%, some that are up to 50 to 60%. Okay, so there's gonna be a mix of income levels that we're gonna address in this video.
And who's gonna determine that?
It's gonna be the house. We basically set up the chart based on the number of units.
So you are involved in a big way.
Correct. I'm involved in this more so than I would like to be. In fact, I spent the last 3 hours on the phone. Discussing this. So, we have a pro forma, we have an idea of what the rental scheme is gonna look like. Once that's developed, the properties are developed, we'll update all the numbers based on demographic shifts over the next year and a half or 2 years. And at that point, we'll publish the rents and the income targets for those properties.
And they will be published where? Newspaper, here at the senior center,
Yes.
Marjorie.
If you go down to the housing authority, ask for application now, get it out there for that. So.
Housing authority at town hall?
No, the
Town
Marjorie,
hall is nothing, okay, I'm sorry. Where's the housing authority?
our office, at Marjorie.
Oh, I'm just-
250 against it. So, yeah,
I'll be okay.
whatever you want, you should be able to go down there, request a document, the document should be provided.
Okay.
If that doesn't happen, well,
I will, probably be-
yes, yes. The current
I just have a question. Okay, you said first, for going into the new place in 3 years,
Yes,
there's a transfer list. So
Correct.
everybody would have an option, like, wanted to transfer. from a resident.
you have that option now.
So, and after that transfer,
Now.
Yes. Well, not for nice quality, but if you wish to
Oh,
transfer
oh.
here, say down in Marjorie or Marjorie
yeah,
here.
there's, okay. So
Yeah.
after the transfer list is lost, you said, then you'll ask the current tenants.
Correct.
And then thirdly, you'll go to the waiting list.
Right.
Now, my question is that waiting list, does that turn into that lottery?
Well, so the waiting list should already be loud, and all those people should be.
You know,
The lottery is supposed to be before they get on the list.
Right.
okay,
It should not be happening
So
after
that's-
they're on the list.
that's why I'm confused.
The lottery is what gets them on. the list. Not to get them an apartment.
Yeah, so the lottery determines your placement on the list initially. Okay,
So it's gonna
and
be.
then as the list moves, people adjust accordingly, because we have some people that decline units, they put their name in the list just to be on the list, and they have no intention of taking a house
Right.
or a unit until such time as they decide.
But they
to
get one, they go drop to the bottom, and they get one chance.
I don't know if they go up to the bottom, I think they maintain their position
Oh,
on
is
the
that-
list, they just.
Oh, we were told they drop to the bottom.
Just have to skip over that, I know that.
Yeah, basically, so if you're number six, if you don't take it,
That
you go
makes
to number seven, number seven takes it, everybody moves up a slot, up to number six position, six maintains their position, so the next time through, if there's a vacancy. They get another shot at.
That makes
at the
sense.
thing.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yes.
Building there, they're not like.
They're all gonna be one bedroom units, there's gonna be some two bedroom units, so. You know, not, the majority's gonna be. one
When are they gonna be open?
3 years.
Yeah. So like I said, I wanted to close financing in June. Town of Berlin was not ready to close finance. So we are now in discussion with the one that manager takes.
And why was that? Why was the
Because-
town of Berlin not?
If only I could write a book. So, does anybody remember how the Knights of Columbus came into possession of the town of Berlin?
No, I don't remember.
Okay, so way back when this personal field, apparently. Surveys weren't a thing, because they built part of personal field on Knights of Columbus property. At some point, the Knights of Columbus found out about this and sued the town. So
That's right.
in exchange for the settlement process, the town agreed to buy the Knights of Columbus. Right, so the Knights of Columbus basically turned the title over, they got checkers.
We got screwed.
And therein, everything was left as it is, right? So now, we're getting ready to close. Now, mind you, I wanted to get authorization from town council to close in, excuse me. I want to get authorization in January from the town council to move towards closing, because nothing ever happens easy. So I wanted to flush out all our issues over the spring, so basically we're ready to go. We have the council meeting, we close. They wanted to get financing squared away first, which it now is, and now they're bringing all these issues before, one of which was baseball. Apparently, they never corrected the property line after they got the property from the Knights of Columbus. So as they're getting ready to go to closing, they realize that, oh crap, we just sold half the baseball field, right, and the rural housing. We can't do that. So basically, they had to get an engineer to come in and adjust the property lines. We had to go through what's called an 824 process where. And again, I first wanted to do this back 10 years ago, but they can't find the record of it. And I was gonna look at my records, but basically they had to go through the 824 process, which is, you know, having a vote, going to the planning and zoning commission, having the planning and zoning commission do the plans, have a vote at the planning and zoning commission, back to the town council, have a public hearing. What do you find? So basically, on June 1st, we get this letter from their attorney saying we can't close in June because of all these dates, public hearings, everything else, and there's a 15-day appeal period. So on July 5th, the town can finally transfer the property. So, but this whole having, I hope. Okay, we're ready to go. You know, I'm not so sure about that. So we basically have to now wait till July 5th to make sure nobody appeals their vote. If nobody appeals the vote by July 5th, then we can enter into negotiations on when to actually close. So, and here we sit. That's why I spent 3 hours a day today.
Barbara, yes.
What kind of a vote, who would have to appeal this?
Anybody can appeal. Because it's a transfer of public land.
Yeah.
Oh, so it wouldn't have to be someone from the town.
Well, it could be
It could be
someone,
a resident.
a resident of the town. If they for whatever reason,
Your resident,
yeah,
if you want-
they for the reason are opposed to this, they could make a meeting appeal on this decision, let's say.
Okay, now you and I have had a conversation. You said the contractor is ready to go.
Yes,
If we're delayed, what happens to the contractor in place?
so he's in place.
Will he continue? Will he stay with us?
Oh, yeah, because he's gonna get paid out, so he's gonna stay. If he goes, I'll get another contract.
Yeah, but that would be another whole process.
No.
All right, does anyone else have any other questions?
I have something I want to say. I want to tell you how long Joe has been at this, and I think we give him a lot of credit because I'll tell you, if it was me, and we've had many conversations, Joe and I, and he knows how frustrated I get. But he doesn't, I know he gets frustrated, but he stays with it. And I just think it's not only been that, how many soil samples have you had to do?
Oh, God, there's been.
Yeah.
There's been a lot.
One wasn't enough, two wasn't enough, many had to be done.
Yeah.
So I just give him so much credit for staying with this because when we finally get senior housing in Berlin, it's because of his staying with it and in doing what was right for the seniors. And I just appreciate that. And I appreciate whenever I call him, if there's a senior issue, he's very good about it. And I never have a problem with that. And I think we owe him a gratitude, a lot of gratitude because of staying with it. Because if it wasn't for his being so persistent, our town. And I was asking another town person, of a different town. I said, how did you get your housing done so quick? They said, you have to have the administration support. So I mean, look at how many years this has taken. And like I said, it's been one delay after another and
There's been a lot of stuff similar to the baseball field.
yes.
That should have been addressed and corrected. You know, we discover it and then it's like a process. The ground lease, just to give you a background, the town gave us the land. They said, here, take this land, this is your land, run with it. So we took the land. Got through planning and zoning, got all our approvals in place, we're ready to close. That's for 20 years. But we're ready to close and we discover that there is a conservation easement on half the site. All right, so that created a problem that took 2 years to resolve. And through the assistance of Joe Simowitz, who at the time was the Speaker of the House, it allowed us to get a ground lease executed, or authority for a ground lease to be executed. But it took intervention at the Speaker of the House level to get the DEP to agree to a transfer, or not transfer title, but a ground lease execution on that specific parcel. So that significantly tied us up. And as a result, the funding schemes that were out there for elderly housing changed. And that threw our whole dynamic into things because we had planned for 9% low-income housing tax credit. The requirements for low-income housing tax credit with the age restriction basically went out the window. So the state of Connecticut wanted no age restriction. They wanted affordable family housing. And as a result, here we are. Fortunately, we're able through the funding mechanism that occurred under the Inflation Reduction Act to get with Wells Fargo Statutory Trust and get a funding source that way. That's where geothermal comes in, because the geothermal component, we're going to be building this building with green design elements that will allow us to basically get reimbursed for 60% of the cost of this project. So
We have a geothermal under the ground?
yes, yes, we're gonna be adding geothermal wells. So the original design of the building did not include basements. We're going slab on grade. The new design is gonna have basements and all the geothermal equipment is gonna be within the basement, right? The way this process works, and again, I'm not an engineer. But there's pressure differentials in the geothermal process. So as a result, they're able to use that to generate electricity. So we'll be providing heat, hot water, air conditioning, and electricity from these systems. In addition to solar panels, which would be put onto the roofs in the way that nobody's seen. So basically, all those things are going to allow us to capture a significant amount of costs. So we're gonna have LED lighting, everything's gonna be done from an environmentally, or I shouldn't say environmentally efficient, energy efficient process. So, you know, the buildings are gonna be well insulated, the windows are gonna be such that, you know, they don't allow heat transfer to the outside. They'll allow the sunshine in, the heat will stay outside in the summer and inside in the winter. You know, so there's a bunch of different components in this process. As a result, people living there, all the heat and air conditioning and stuff is going to be included, including electricity, is going to be included in their rents.
You can have like trash chutes from his floor, right down for the.
No. So trash chutes are a fire problem and you're not going down that line. So, yeah. The problem is there's something.
You know, they gotta take it down the elevator.
Yeah, something catches fire down at the bottom of the trash chute, it's going up. So, we're gonna avoid that. Yes.
Now, the panel that is here,
Mhm.
these people here are on the commission of age.
I mean, correct.
Everyone here except for Tina
And Jen
and
and
Jen.
Julia is, but,
Okay.
so they're appointed
Apologize
as
for
well.
keeping my back.
No, it's all right.
There has to be so many Democrats, so many
And
Republicans,
these are
so many.
volunteer
unfilled.
people.
Yes.
Yes.
Now, what your
Yes.
position? Joe?
Volunteer.
Volunteer, okay. But what I wanted to get to was the crux of the commission's power is
Advisory.
on improving
Mhm.
conditions in the town of Rome
Mhm.
for the seniors.
Correct.
Like more services, more activities.
So that is out of my. purview.
That's out of his.
All right, so
This-
that
this-
goes to
yes.
the commission here.
That's the
This
committee.
commission is an advisory commission.
Okay,
They don't have
they advise,
the town council.
all right, advise, in other words, we bring.
They
our
don't
issues
have
to
the
them and they
authority
don't-
to,
Right, so
they
there
change it,
really
but
isn't
they
much authority there at all.
no, most commissions are all advisory,
Yes,
except for the police commission.
yes, police commission.
They have.
Okay,
Police
authority.
commission,
That means when these people go to the next commission to bring their thoughts.
Well, they would go to me and Jen, and they would go to the town manager.
when the budget process and
Town
policy,
manager,
Right.
when the budget
And then-
process is being done and when policy decisions are being made, that information gets funneled from the advisory commissions through the town manager up to the council.
oh, so it goes here to the town manager,
so-
to the town
So
council.
depending on what it is, if you came here and you said, hey, I have a complaint about bingo, or there's an activity you want to do.
Yeah.
If Tina wasn't here, Tina's at every commission on aging meeting, if not myself or Victoria, the assistant director is here. We're gonna take that information and we're gonna discuss it as a staff to see how we can best serve the seniors in the senior center and the seniors in town.
And if the budget is in place, they'll execute. If there's no money in the budget, then they'll funnel that into their budget.
But isn't there other sources for certain activities that
Yes.
could be provided for the seniors in this town?
Yes, and if you had any ideas, we would ask you to go right to Tina with those ideas and she would look
The
into it.
large-
What are you looking for the margin?
More activities for seniors,
It's a grant, it has to be applied.
okay,
So
For what?
But if you're looking,
activities Are you
Yeah.
talking about?
Zumba classes, the jazzercise.
Okay, we've spoken about this,
We have,
Yes,
and
we
nothing
have.
has come of it,
right,
and
because
that's
as
what
I
I'm
explained to
wondering
you,
why.
Eloise, that I don't have here the space to do all those classes.
Well, what goes on here from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock?
Okay, 1 o'clock today, we had volcano, we had setback dropping. Tuesday, we had movies,
But you
we had
have,
Wii bowling on Friday.
so you're saying it's
Bingo on
a
Thursday.
space problem?
Yes, yes, I would love to have all this, but I don't have the space
So,
here.
let me address the space problem.
Okay.
This is my favorite topic.
Wait, but here's another thing. What if the senior center was open a little bit later on one night a week?
That's a budget process.
correct.
And you can make a request through Tina and through the commission, if the commission.
All right, I'm making that request.
Okay,
We'll keep that in mind going into budget season.
yes.
Have to be next budget season,
Yes.
because our budget season is already done for next year.
Fiscal year runs July 1st to June 30th. The budget's already in place for.
Because I see a lot of activities going on here at the senior center, but most of them are sedentary. There are things where, you know, there's not a lot of
active things for people.
We had cardio dumping. That was very active.
There's a walking group. There's a walking group that's very.
Class that goes on twice a week.
And the park and rec has a great community.
That's what I wanted to say.
Right.
But I'm saying organized. Is she a member of the senior center? Do you get the news?
Yes.
Yeah, she does. She used to come for cardio running, and her request, we put in a high intensity cardio drumming, but I haven't seen you.
But
That's
Tina,
right.
you know,
Yeah, so, I mean, I took your.
Joe, you should get out while you
I
can.
put in a high intensity cardio. drumming.
yes, you did. I saw.
I have exercise for wellness, I have a walking club, I have yoga.
The exercise and the walking club, they're both great.
Doesn't have that.
I know, but see, that's, I mean,
You have to decide.
you have to decide, I can't. You know, I would love to have pickleball, but I don't have a court.
Right.
But
More
that
active.
could be something.
I know, I am working on it.
Yeah.
I'm also working on vouchers.
So just, I'm gonna take my Berlin Housing Chairman hat off,
Okay.
and put on my
Okay.
citizen hat.
Now, what is I mean, say one of the activities that are sedentary and just substituted something like, say, a jazzercise. You're saying that we don't have enough funding for that?
What am I,
Or a
what
jazzercise?
would you like me to take out that said there?
Well, that would be up to a lot of people.
Right, but you have to understand, the service age from 60 to over 100.
Right.
So we're trying to make that's a population of what, 40 something years.
Exactly.
So I'm trying to have things for each of those age groups.
And I understand.
And
that.
I
That's
can't
what
take
I'm
out
saying,
sedentary things,
That the
because then that
60-year-olds
affects my
are at a great
older
disadvantage.
members.
Everything
You could
else.
come here every day and exercise. Monday, cardio drumming, Tuesday, exercise for wellness, Wednesday, cardio drumming, Thursday, exercise, Friday, yoga. I mean,
You can also go to the community
they have
center
classes too.
and use
for
some of the
seniors.
equipment.
Use
there
the
if you
fitness
want.
center, yeah.
Or be a
It's,
touch fee for-
it's very hard. I mean, Parks and Rec struggles with the same thing. You don't have anything for 2-year-olds. Well, it's hard to get the instructors. It's hard to find the space. It's hard to find the budget. You can't service every single resident in town. We have to try to offer a variety of everything.
There were pamphlets, like a lot of information in the pamphlets.
for advanced drawing, right?
Yes,
And how many come to that?
well, at first there was a few, now, today there was nobody.
Right, and if you wanted it, why don't you go?
Because I'm not able to right at this moment. But I did.
I mean, I think Tina tries a lot of things, but you are dealing with a lot of people who are very limited mobility.
Right, but you also want to bring in people that are not limited.
Which is why we offer things such as the high intensity.
Don't come.
We offer the
That's
walking
I can do
club.
is Offer it,
You did line
And if-
dance.
Well, can I make a
it's kind of
suggestion?
like build it and they will come,
And
Yeah.
but sometimes
Well,
they don't come.
I'm gonna make him a suggestion. That's what we need to do. We need to build the new center. Oh, and you would bring it up with your friend. That's what we need.
I love that.
This is what we need. For one thing, we need decent parking.
There's no parking.
Did you try parking if you're 75 years old on that hill? And trying to come down, and especially. in the winter,
spots a lot. They do, you know.
You know, parking lot, we need
Yeah, but where-
more space.
Where were these voices when we needed your voices, when we were presenting to the town officials?
She had town officials here.
Yeah.
Everybody was up. There was 15 of
Yeah,
us.
Phoenix here.
No one showed up. Not one single person. That was last year.
And that's.
Yeah.
It was a meeting here in
Yeah,
Sharon.
I advertise it. It's on my phone.
Show.
Yeah, Darby's.
Okay, darling, I have two different things to say. One, a good suggestion. I know a lot of elderly and, you know, yeah, elderly and elderly, we have two different kinds of elderly.
Several different.
You know, okay, pickleball is a big thing, and if we could just do a pickleball kind of thing. I thought,
Okay, where are we gonna do it?
that's what I don't know, maybe in the new senior center, but,
Well, yeah.
That doesn't exist.
Well, so are there pickleball courts in town?
And that's I want.
There are- There are 4 pickleball courts.
To the townhouse. Still Heights, residents do have an advantage over Margin Moore because you do have the senior center here.
Yeah.
Accessible and, you know, it's really
Yeah.
nice. Margin Moore, I have to say, I just came in March, work 1 day a week, 1.5. And, I am working on stuff, and one of the things I'm working on, we have a very small community.
Yeah.
Which I would love to see that be bigger too. But, anyway, I wanna get music in there so bad, and hallelujah. I've been asking Liz to pipe, I wanna pipe in music, and I also wanna get a live person to sing, and if somebody wants to get up and dance, they can, we can just move stuff.
Well,
Why not
that's
have a
part of
dance
your-
besides?
That's part of your
So, yeah,
program.
yeah, so.
See, that's what we're missing here.
So part of this is commission on aging. Part of that is not.
Yeah.
Okay, so in terms of stuff that goes on in Marjorie Moore, that would fall under the auspices of the housing.
Listen, I helped
Yes,
Marjorie Moore get a new bingo machine.
correct.
That was me.
Correct.
So-
I know. and
I know, but I'm saying, it was a machine that was being given away
Yeah.
by another senior center, and I thought of Marjorie Moore.
Yeah, there
And I
you go.
contacted Liz and I said, Liz, would you like this? Yes. Okay, and I
Oh, yeah.
contacted the director in Cromwell and she set it up with Liz to go get it. So, I mean,
No, thank you, and Paul is the
And I've been
operator,
using it, yep,
yeah, so.
and thank you.
and we just got,
You're welcome.
we just got new cards. in.
Right,
So
I
you
told
got
Liz
new
about
cards.
I told Liz about new cars as well.
Getting back to the housing.
So I am planning a lot of things for Marjorie Moore people that are active. And, but I wanted to say one thing, I had a walking club and I did not see Eloise once.
That's right, because Eloise, I'm sorry, not to denigrate anybody or anything like that. Where was your walking club from the apartment down to the library and back? That's not a
I
lot.
was doing it. according
Does she come to
my
our walking club?
She used to,
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying, that doesn't seem,
she used to, like,
I'm,
But Tina has a walking,
very happy.
Tina has a much more active.
Right, they go around once.
So.
please, no, don't go
Speaking of
more.
housing authority, we have a resident service. If you guys have, all right, if you have suggestions, I come to the resident services coordinator. She will contact me and we
And
will,
who's that?
huh?
Who's the residents? I'm talking about, Liz. Oh, you. I don't know if she's a resident.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And
Solicitor, not-
Thank you.
That's my, that's my.
Third meeting on cabinet. So, Darlene, if you guys have ideas with the housing authority. You wanna see. I mean, it's much more difficult than Marjorie Moore, it's up here. So if you guys have an idea, bring it to Darlene, keep funding for it. I just the monthly meeting, we'll get it.
I have a very versatile audience, so it's tough. I'm gonna please some and not please the others. I'm gonna please the others and not the,
Welcome.
you have to be very, but just on that thing, now, I have a lot of things that I put through the chain. I thought the chain was Liz and then she bring it to the board, but I don't think it's getting.
It's not getting. I've requested several times, please. He said,
Did you
well,
hear anything about it today?
no, we'll address this.
Okay.
Barbara,
Like I said, there's some changes.
okay, we gotta move on to our.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Joe, for coming.
Right.
I think,
I want to say something before we go.
All right, Barbara.
You talk about space, you talk about parking. The commission, we had a little commission put together and they went, I didn't go with them, to all different senior centers. Judging what we need, what is appropriate for us. 7 or 8 different visits they made with this committee. And I want to tell you, please understand, elections have consequences. Because we haven't even had a meeting to find out, they said our plan was too big. Okay, then let's have a conversation about that. Let's do something where we can maybe do something a little different. We need to have better parking. They don't want to hear that. And one of the members on that committee said right here, 2 weeks ago at the budget hearing, or 3 weeks ago, whatever it was. He says the seniors are just fine and they could stay here because he likes it here. Well, how often does he come here? He comes once a year to have that little budget meeting? No, that doesn't work. What about the people like us that come every day, that have to park, come to facilities, come to programs? Those are the people that you have to think about, the people that we elect that are now wanting to go to the Y and have the Y build for the seniors. That is not gonna work because the Y already told us they'll do nothing for seniors. They do, their focus is childcare. So I think that when you're listening and you're saying things, you have to say it to the right people and you have to elect the right people.
And talk to the other people that you know.
Yeah.
Well, so many times when I say to somebody, oh, well, we're trying to get in the senior center. Oh, really? I haven't heard that.
Yeah, really.
It's like, it's this big town secret that nobody knows.
Yep.
Well, that's not unusual. There's a lot of things I don't know.
That's right. Even the budget. You didn't even know what to vote for the budget because where was the information? That's what I'm saying to you. You have
These people.
elections have consequences. You just have.
Who's electing the people? You are. The Berlin voters,
The Berlin
the
vote.
town of Berlin voters elect these people.
Well, Joe, I want to thank you so much
Thank
for
you,
coming.
Thank you,
and-
Joe. You put up with a lot.
The meetings are the second
Wednesday.
Wednesday of the month
August
at
third
5 o'clock at Marjorie Moore
For the Berlin housing. not
for
the-
Berlin Housing. Berlin Housing.
Yeah, we meet monthly, so there's no.
Again, with Joe and Marge and Boy, I'll be there.
Okay, so you're gonna have a lot.
Make me blush.
Thank you.
That being said, I'm in support of the senior center, so
Thank you, Joe.
the new senior center, so if you need my help with that.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Joe.
Okay.
Oh. Yes, I think we might put my phone.
Welcome to city for the rest of our meeting. But if you have to go, we understand.
Yes, we're gonna
So,
start.
thank you
our
very much. I have a 7 o'clock meeting
Okay.
to go to, so thank you very much.
Yeah. Yes.
You're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting. We're gonna move on with the rest of our agenda, but, you know, it's gonna be up to you. If you have to leave or want to leave, that's up to you. And we would enjoy having you decide to stay. Okay, so we have our audience of citizens, senior center directors.
So you all have my report there showing our average daily attendance and our average per day by month for June. And I also shared with you the average per day by month from January to June.
I like the exactness of the decibels.
Yes. Our transportation service requests have increased. We are providing transportation currently to 130 individuals to 118 different locations. We provided 3,706 rides from January to today. And as of today, we have 1,180 seniors have their P tags. That is an increase of 18 new members since our last meeting in May. That's what Jordan says.
Okay,
Anyone have any questions?
thank you, Tina. Frank, you have a report?
Yeah, okay. Couple months ago, I had an invite to a Republican Town Committee meeting. And I thought it was kind of interesting for me to attend it. And I kind of enjoyed it. It was explained about how long I've been here as a resident. And being on the Commission of Aging as vice chair. It became more interesting when the different committees were submitting reports. And I found it very, very informative. And I just figured being on the commission, it would be nice that our commission could be part of it. And I went to another meeting and I gave a little report on how everything was going. And I decided to become a member. And I submitted an application and the nominating committee approved it because they said, we don't really know that much about the commission on aging. And I found out that I can get more information and giving reports on what we do. And more people will see it, like what Jen was talking about. You know, not just one person, but the entire people from the town council here at Board of Ed. I know the rest of the, finance board, they will hear that report that I give. And I thought it would be a great thing for our commission going forward. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm a member and I'll be issuing a report monthly to the BRTC as far as what we're standing on all these issues that we have with the senior center, with the Marjorie Moore and whatever we stand on, I'll have a voice for it.
As far as like activities that are going on or needs.
Yeah, I mean, if there's anything, that needs to be addressed, I can,
What? When you say anything that needs to be addressed, what?
well, what you were talking about before, your complaints about this or that, or.
Yeah, but those should be coming.
Those
to
should be
me.
coming to
They should not
Tina.
be going to the Republican Town Committee.
Yeah,
Or the Democratic Town. Committee.
those committees are not town commission.
Yes.
Yeah.
They should.
Those are not those are not public
And
town
then I go to
meetings.
my supervisor, we work together,
Right,
we include Barbara in on it as chairperson of the Commission for Aging.
right. That's the process for improvements to the senior center,
I-
anything that goes on in it.
It's a
Right.
good idea for for our commission to have that connection. So that they know what we're trying to do, they know what we're trying to accomplish.
Sure.
And it's very hard for people, they go to work, but they volunteer their services. They don't know everything that's going on everywhere, and I think it's good for us to have that connection.
It's like an advisory, like you were saying, an advisory, I'm not trying to put a.
Maybe it's not too bad an idea to know what the Republicans are thinking. We could have one on the Republicans and one on the Democrats.
Well, if somebody wants to volunteer, why not? Frank is a volunteer, and that, I think that's a good
Well,
connection. for
he's
us.
sharing with the Republicans what we're doing or what we might need
Yes.
supported. Is
Yeah.
that correct?
That's
They're not gonna be reporting to the commission what the Republicans are doing in. all the committees.
No.
Right.
It's not there.
That,
It's
It's
just
just
sharing
for the
our-
welfare of the
right,
senior.
okay.
And I would hope, Frank, that as a commission of aging member, if a senior came to you with complaints or requests,
Then I
that you
would-
would go to Tina
I would say
first.
refer that to Tina.
Yeah.
Then, yes, that's what I want to make sure.
And we are an advisory committee, and I have no problem giving in my advice and how my thoughts on things. So I think that if you have something to bring to our committee, that's fine. And Frank, I'm glad that you're gonna have that connection because
Yeah.
I think there's too many things in town that we don't hear about. And they don't hear about us.
Well, I just figure it's like planting seeds.
Yeah, yeah,
You know what I mean? If they don't hear it,
yeah.
then nobody knows.
Nobody
Right.
knows it.
That's
That's
true.
right. So.
In
thank
fact,
you
in
for-
fact, our next meeting, I could be discussing some of the stuff that went on
Went
today.
on tonight, yes,
And then so not just one person hears it, the council hears it.
yes, that's right.
It's not like saying we're throwing, stones at anybody. It's just like, here it is. Here's the advisor. Here's what people are thinking.
And it's and I thank you for doing this because it's very frustrating to go to meeting after meeting after meeting and see nothing get done. And that's very frustrating for the people on our commission here and for the people that, they say elections have consequences and they do, and I see that because if you don't have the support of your administration, you're not gonna get anything done. So I think the more people we can let know what we need, what seniors need, there's 6,000 seniors in Berlin. They need to know what we need and how we feel. So
Exactly.
thank you, Frank, for
Yeah.
doing that. And I hope that you'll be able to report you know, if I put you on the agenda,
Put me on the agenda.
Yeah.
Cause I'll be on their agenda.
yeah, and you'll report to us.
Right.
Okay, very good.
Now,
Thank
Tina,
you.
Okay,
is there any way that we could set up here like a food pantry type of thing where people could come in and get like, even like non-perishable food, and you know, like fresh fruit, fresh vegetables,
okay, so
like designate like.
we do give out fresh vegetables during the summer months. We give them out as we get them. We do get them from seniors that are members that have an abundance in their garden. We do get them from Burger's Nursery. And we give them out here,
Right.
but
yes,
we don't
I-
have a set day, because we don't know when we're gonna get it. We give out Panera bread. Either bread or bagels every Thursday. We also get from another food pantry, or I think it's a food pantry. And actually, she's on the board of the housing, Michelle, she brings whatever they have left. And I give that out if I get it, like on Tuesdays.
Oh, great, but that's the thing now, how do we know what days of the stuff is?
Well, you can also call the Department of Social Services over at Town Hall, and they have a food pantry that is
Right.
Yeah,
available.
they don't do non-perishable, I mean, they.
Correct, they don't, because they don't have the space to hold it or the
That's what I'm
refrigeration.
saying, is that with
They don't,
trying to promote good health for seniors is paramount.
I couldn't agree with you more. It's a
They
matter
are
of where are we
disease
getting the
Number
perishables?
One killer is allergies.
okay, Eloise, they do,
And diet is
right,
paramount.
I plan on
Exercise,
Okay.
diet, lifestyle.
yes, Eloise, they do give out vegetables as well.
From their
but
garden
it's-
plot,
It's from the.
their garden plot that they
They have a
started last
mini
year.
Garden.
Yep.
They also have from a farm. that
Where,
they get.
where is this?
This is
That's
part of the social
social
services food
services.
pantry, which you have to
Okay.
apply for.
So. in
Well, you
the
don't
summer-
apply, you just have to,
You have to
They
be
do
income
it.
eligible. Yeah, you have to do an
So
application.
in
Yeah.
the summer, like if I called them tomorrow
yes,
and said, when is your next
Right.
distribution of fresh fruits, healthy foods and vegetables?
I don't know that they'll be able to pinpoint a day, but they'll be able to answer that question for you
or
if they
you can
can.
say, when you get,
Can you please call me?
you could call me.
Yeah.
If you said to me, Tina, when you start getting fresh fruit, I'll call you,
All right.
I'll tell you.
That's
And
perfect.
vegetables. and
Because-
things
because
that
it's not a
keep
set thing.
body
When they
going.
bring it to
Right.
us. When they. bring
We
it
don't
to
have
us.
funds to go out and buy fruits and vegetables to give them out on a regular basis. Unfortunately, we just don't have the funds for that in the town budget.
Tina, how about the bus? Food share bus.
Right, and it's also food share.
Yeah, there's definitely lots of opportunities.
What's in the citizen? I
What?
see, you know, for people that.
Well, we could also get you,
Sacred Heart.
um,
Sacred Heart, right,
when we
okay,
get-
let's talk about Sacred Heart.
okay, let me just, Eloise,
Okay.
we get, what do they call it? It's the booklet, the farmer's market booklet.
Yep.
When we get them, I will call you, because then you use those coupons,
In
and
the
you go,
booklet,
yep, and they'll tell you which farmers markets will accept them. And you could get your fresh fruit, your fresh veggies.
And Kay's suggestion is also fresh too, isn't it?
Sorry.
The, what did you say? The food,
The food share
Food
bus.
share.
yeah, food shares bus. That has fresh stuff too, I think.
Right.
where is the food here?
That's at Sacred Heart Church in East Berlin.
Right.
Every other
Okay, so
Friday.
let's talk about that.
Okay,
I have known people that have gone
right.
to this food share. Now, the first 30 to 40 people out of 150 get the fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, people like down at the end of the line. You are not getting. it.
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have any
Not-
control over that,
That's
Why,
what I'm
there's
saying,
no- there's
not
no-
enough
I
resources
guess, yeah.
in this town for people to get the proper nutrition that they need. they can't afford. And this is what I'm saying.
Well, I'm saying,
And
but I would say to
concerned
you,
about seniors, then why can't we get something together to service the seniors, to make it better?
I think that sounds like a very good idea. You're gonna volunteer and you're gonna set it up. And we'll see what we can do to help you.
All right, but being someone who has no idea where to turn, where to go, who to contact, you can't just throw that.
That's probably most of the rest of
Social
us.
services.
Tina said she'd call you when she got stuff.
Yep, you can establish a relationship with social
Yeah.
services.
With Jamie.
Yeah.
and Robin,
Exactly,
social
Jamie,
services.
because she's would know.
Yeah, and her works her butt off at the food pantry.
Lots of places with sodium, things that are not healthy. I'm looking for the healthy, fresh vegetables that improve your health, improve your diet. We're all looking for that.
We're all looking for that and we're all struggling to pay for it. We don't have the funds to just
I see
buy
a
them and
lot
give it
of
away for free.
Everywhere.
Hey, Joe, number one.
Barbara,
Have you applied,
Barbara, let's move
Excuse
on.
me.
Yes, I have. I have gone down there.
but have you applied for the SNAP will give you.
Yes, I. have.
Yeah, and then you go to the store and buy whatever you want.
Yes, right. But there again, you are limited.
But we have no control over what the grocery store has.
Why don't you? How do you make an appointment with me?
Yeah.
We'll sit and I'll get you set up.
And you can have her call Jamie and Jamie can give her some phone numbers to call. Okay.
Jamie's just gonna tell her when.
The same food shares are
when she-
available, yeah.
Well, she could call and find out.
And if
No,
she's,
but I can set her
if
up.
she has a SNAP card,
Okay.
she can go to the grocery store and buy
I'll
whatever
set
she
her up with
wants.
the same
But
thing.
that's the situation. I'm talking in addition to.
You're looking for somebody to bring you fresh fruit and fresh
I am-
vegetables
Every day, yeah.
Right. I am looking for this town to get involved in good nutrition for seniors.
Okay, we're gonna leave
That's
that up
what
to
I
you.
am doing.
Okay.
We have to
Don't make
move on
it
with our
sound
meeting.
like
Can I
it's
just
all
intervene
about-
for a minute, please? One of the projects I have, and it's not for the town, but you'll be interested because it's for marginal work.
Okay.
And I'm gonna try to, have Percival involved too, but, I don't do too much of Percival because they, like I said, they're lucky enough to be here with me. But, when they come here and the people here, I believe is hiring. Too. I don't know, but excuse me, but for 1 minute, I just want to tell you that I have a lot of things planned for our community room and you guys, and one of them is to contact the BNA. Okay, about the nurse association. I want them to come and speak about nutrition and diets. And I know.
Okay, Darlene.
That's not.
We need to move
Why
on.
don't we- Darlene,
We
why
need to
don't
move on.
I'll Louise call you
Yeah.
and you can go over
I'll
that
work
with
with
her,
Okay.
okay?
That's a different subject.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
have
we need to move on.
This is.
Okay,
That's a
Okay.
whole different.
I
subject.
thought that,
Yeah,
know,
and you can talk to Darlene about that.
Oh, yeah, you're
bring up.
you're fine, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's good.
That's what I felt.
You're good.
I'm getting a negative vibe.
No, no.
No.
Strong, not negative.
Yep, Tina said she's gonna set up a meeting with you. She'll get you in touch with everyone.
Not negative.
And
If
maybe-
it's negative,
maybe-
it's on your part. 'cause
maybe
you're
we
not
can-
feeling that way.
It's like, so you want people to give you food every day, that's.
No, I said,
No.
I'm trying to understand
He said
what you need,
Oh, and I'm trying to convey that.
what
Fresh
you
fruits and
need, like,
vegetables
is
to the
it
seniors
that
in
you
town.
would like
Not
vegetables
just
and fruit.
me.
Okay, you're looking for
The whole
the
town.
town to create a nutrition program.
Or this, yes.
Right,
specifically
okay.
for the
All right,
seniors.
so we will work with, I'll work with social services.
Yeah.
And we'll see if we can establish a good nutrition program.
Okay, so we'll leave
I
that
mean,
up
there's
to you.
plenty
So
of
when
local
we
farmers
meet
that
in the
can
fall,
probably
this will be
contact
all
us.
established.
Yeah, you're right.
And just set up like a farmer's market here. Honey, fresh vegetables.
Okay.
Things that are good
Next-
for your body.
Berlin used to have a farmer's market at for donated for. Something like that.
Yeah, but I mean.
Okay.
Bob,
Yes,
to our next report is Ann.
I don't
with,
really have much to say. Joe said most of the things. that
Oh,
we were
okay.
talking about.
All right,
I don't really have much to add to that. We're not really happy campers right now because we have such a weird mix. The newest influx of residents. Definitely. Well, it's just. Everybody that's there now is going their own separate way. Nobody gets together. Our last picnic just totally folded. We only had about 6 people and then they brought us up. We decided not to serve it. It's just not a happy. We can't hear you down here. What were you talking about? I was talking about the fact that the seniors in this building are not really all that happy. Oh, okay. We have a very strange mix of people right now. The new influx of people doesn't seem to mesh well. And
We'll have to wait and see how it falls out. I don't know how long most people stay.
And, you know,
We keep losing them people as we go along.
and some of that might be resolved when you get the new building too, because there'll be big diversity of,
Yeah,
you know,
well, in that building, yeah, I'm sure they have some different.
yeah, it will be.
Oh, you mean like to see, like I said, it'll be 55.
Right.
I think our biggest problem is the fact that we've got a whole bunch of,
Different types.
and it's, yeah,
people, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Okay,
The next report is mine, it's a senior center community center. And, I met with the Marjorie Moore people last, 2 weeks ago, and that was very enjoyable. And we're still absent one
Guys,
member.
if you're gonna stay at the meeting, do you mind just not having the side conversations while we're, thank you, I appreciate it, because it's hard for me to hear Barbara over there.
And we can't record it either.
Right.
And we still have one member missing here on our commission, so if anybody knows anyone that would like to be on the commission for the aging. By the fall, I would like to have a person in place. Now, it has to be a person that, it has to be a Democrat, because Lois, when she left, was a Democrat, so they have to have a balance. So if you know of anyone, please let me know. I want you to know that Jamie Miller is the new social services person. Doug has retired, so if anybody has any social service issues, they should contact Jamie Miller down at the town hall. And let me see. I guess that's it.
It could be what's a U, unaffiliated?
yeah,
I just checked the town council. It could be a Democrat or an unaffiliated.
Unaffiliated.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then if anybody
Yeah.
knows of anyone in that category, Democrat, Republican, or unaffiliated, we really
And
need
what
to have them.
are some of the duties of that person on the commission? I mean,
We're-
how much
we're-
time was dedicated to it?
We meet every other month, so we meet 6 times a year.
Yeah.
This is an exceptionally long meeting. Usually we meet at 5 o'clock, and we're usually done by 7 o'clock, so.
Okay.
and we
6
take
o'clock,
any
yeah. We're usually done by
concern
6.
out of seniors, we take it.
yeah,
So
we're trying to
really-
address.
So that's the extent of my report.
So
Joe said it all. I don't have much to
You
say.
fill out an application and it goes
Okay.
presented to the town council, and they
Okay.
decide whether they will take you on as.
Okay, so you meet like anytime in between
No.
before this meeting?
No,
No,
We have 6 meetings a year.
everything that's discussed has to be discussed and recorded.
And then you
Ah.
go to another commission with your suggestions.
no, we discuss them as a commission here and decide to take action, or if a suggestion has come up, we leave it with Tina. Tina goes back over the course before our next meeting and comes back with an update on how that suggestion went. My role is, Tina is the staff liaison for this commission. One of the departments I oversee is the senior center, so I try to come to as many of these meetings possible because I'm involved in the department as well. But I oversee other departments as well.
All right, so what do you do exactly for the senior center? You help set up.
I support Tina and
She
anything
works
she needs, and I work with Tina.
And Victoria,
Yep.
she oversees social services, she oversees animal control, and she oversees
Parks and
Parks and
Recreation.
Rec, and she oversees parks.
No, not anymore.
Not anymore.
Just the four.
It's called keeping your budget lean.
She oversees,
I act as a support
She's
system
our
for Tina.
supervisor.
Do I oversee Tina and supervise her? Yes.
yeah.
But I try to look at it as we work together and I
Right.
help her in any way possible.
So any ideas Tina has, she runs by you.
Mhm.
And then.
Well, I
where
let
do you
her
go
know.
with that?
And then what?
Then where do you go with that?
We work
We
together.
work together to come up with the
So
best
it's not-
solution,
You don't go any higher up. just
only if we have to.
If we have.
There have been instances, not necessarily with suggestions, but with issues that we've had to get the town manager involved in a support system. We go up the ranks if we need to.
And Barbara and I have a very good communication about what's going on here.
Mhm. And Victoria plays a big part in anything that
Yes,
happens
yes.
here as well.
Yes,
She's,
we're- yeah,
it's
they're
a,
very
it's a really good
helpful.
team that works together.
Okay, is there any old business to come before the meeting? I have one more thing for old business. When we were discussing the new senior center, community center, we have not, at the budget hearing several weeks ago, the mayor said we were gonna have discussion on the community center, senior center. And, I don't know who the discussion was supposed to be with, if it was with the finance board or what, but we have not heard anything. They haven't contacted me, and there's no plans to get together to discuss the problem and the fact that they are leaning towards the Y. So I think we need to have those discussions, and so far as I know, no one has asked me. I'm willing to meet anytime, any place, but they have to get to us because he knows where we stand. So that's old business. Is there any new business?
Yeah, I have one.
Yeah,
In fact, I have two. I haven't been getting robocalls. I think Victoria got to you with that.
No, she didn't tell me.
Okay, well, I haven't, the last time I had every week robocall was when we still had pink flamingos on our kitchen tables. It's quite a while back.
I mean, that was less. You haven't gotten them all year?
Well, they come once in a while, but normally I'm not getting them. I found out today about the foot care nurse being hired from Barbara,
Yeah,
but. And the other thing that I wanna call to your.
that was on the robocall.
yeah, but she's. not
Yeah,
getting it.
but I didn't get the robocall.
So is it ringing? Are you getting the call every Friday, the 828-706? So your number is 828-4216.
That's it.
All right, I will check and see why you're not, because I know there is an issue, is if you pick up. And you don't say hello. The recording will not start. I was told that. So when you pick up, you have to say hello, and then the recording will start. Sometimes there's a little delay in the beginning, it's like dead air, and then the recording starts.
So that when if your answer machine comes on, that's what triggers the.
Yeah, for it to record it. Because usually on an answer machine, you'll say, hi, this is Ann, you get your call right now.
Yeah.
And then it'll start the,
Yeah.
I always answer the 706. I love removal.
okay,
This little goodie. that
yes,
Comes out,
yes,
it has such nice classes and stuff. This one. Has an awful lot of. The ads, commercials for whatever. For Southington residents only 18 years and older.
what is that, what's the class?
Well, this one that I circled was diabetes prevention, because I wanted to talk to you about seeing if we could get somebody.
Yeah, we used to have them every month. They stopped during the pandemic. We have checked with them to see if they were gonna resume their in-house presentations, and I do not believe they have.
Maybe they could do it 3 or 4 times. a
No, I'm
year.
gonna see if they, cause we get those notices of the programs. They send us the flyers. But they're having them at their facilities. They used to come out to senior centers. So you used to look at it and you would see, oh, they're doing this program at Bristol Senior Center. This one at Berlin, this one at Plainville.
Here's a Heart Health. For Southington residents only 18 years and older.
Cause then maybe have something to do, I'll have to check on. I've never seen that.
Diabetes is a big thing now. You see it on TV all the
That's the
time.
Hartford-
I'm wearing a
that's the Hartford
monitor just in
Healthcare,
case anybody.
Correct, is that the healthcare Center for Healthy Aging?
Yeah, your thing is in here on the brain.
Number one.
What?
Your thing is in on Brain Health. Right?
Yeah,
At
that,
the Berlin Senior Center.
right. But all the other ones aren't.
But there's.
Before they used to be, every one of those programs would say. Bristol Senior Center, Plainville, Southington, Newington, New Britain, Berlin, because that all of us would pick from the list that they gave us.
When you
But
could
then
choose.
we could choose, but then they stopped them because of the pandemic,
Yeah,
and I don't think they have resumed them.
well, some of those places are short staffed now because they lost some of their people.
But I will check with, I will check.
You know,
I will check with them.
medically speaking, all right, and I'm gonna call my RN for this one. I think there's a lot of people who are pre-diabetic, including me,
Yeah,
or have started on some type of diabetic medication. And I think we need to find out about the classes that the diabetic people are teaching. So that we can monitor the diabetes, and you might also even do something with a heart, with heart failure. And yeah, a lot of us have heart failure.
Okay.
all right, I
We'll
will look into that.
that, Tina.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there any other new business? Well, then we'll have a motion to adjourn, please.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second. I want to thank everyone for coming. Thank you.
You have to, can you vote to adjourn?
What?
You have to vote to adjourn. You have a motion and a second, but you didn't vote.
Oh,
No, we haven't.
is there a vote to adjourn? Yes.
Okay. Okay, you vote to adjourn?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, that's it. She's the only one. We're good. Motion.
No.